Bonsoir Didier, Baptiste Després, Le Figaro.
Good evening, Didier. It's impossible to win the Euro when your two strongest players are not at their top level. What happened to Kylian Mbappé and Antoine Griezmann? Well, I'm not going to pass on the responsibility to one or another. I am the one in charge. I'm the one responsible. First of all, due to the end of their season, on top of that, Kylian suffered a trauma, and even though we did manage to reach the semi-finals, facing a Spanish side with such quality, such strong quality, even though Antoine didn't start playing, but Kylian did, and he didn't perform as well as he usually does. I'm not looking for any excuses. We started the preparation. We didn't have Aurélien, Adrien got injured, Upamecano arrived in a difficult physical condition. So we tried to do our best with what we had, and we tried to be as efficient as possible.
La marche était un peu plus haute, même si on a eu le bonheur d'ouvrir le score. Bon, en 4 minutes, tout s'est renversé.
It was great because we were able to open the score.
Évidemment, dans le jeu, cette équipe d'Espagne a beaucoup de maîtrise.
And the Spanish side does master the game better. We didn't perform so well. We didn't manage to play so vertically as I would have wished. We did push all the way to the end, and I will not say that my players did not give it all, but they did not all play at 100% of their capacities for this Euros for several reasons. You went very far in this Euros up to the semi-finals, but after each match you had to hear about the quality of your game, the fact that France found it hard to score. Do you think this is logical, and were these signs of what could happen tonight? Well, I'm not here to commentate criticisms or debate. You may talk about anything you wish, no problem. I'm not going to talk about this. This is factual. I never denied that we didn't have the best offensive efficiency. From there on, we also had to adapt. Be efficient and go on. We made it to the semi-finals, and then everybody will have their own analysis. We didn't have 100% of our potential to do what we wanted to do, and this for different reasons. As my colleague pointed out, you faced several criticisms, but you also reached the goals of your president to reach the semi-finals. Your contract lasts for another 2 years. Can you see yourself going up until the World Cup? Well, you know, I just lost the semi-final. Do you really think? You know, just ask my president. I respect you. Please try and respect people who also have responsibility. I'm saying this in a very calm manner. What happened, happened. I am here to answer your questions. I am not going to answer to this one, but you know the situation very well, and you know very well what my president thinks. Maybe you shouldn't even have asked this question. Good evening, Didier. A question on the decision that Kylian Mbappé decided not to play with his face mask. How was this decision taken, and how can you explain it? Because this will be the summary of these Euros. The inefficiency in front of the goal, whether it's Kylian or Theo's, from what you could see throughout the competition, is it a mental issue, or is it, technically speaking, are your players too relaxed? How do you explain this? Well, regarding Kylian, wearing a face mask was not an easy task in terms of restricting his vision, and that was quite an inconvenience. The medical staff stated that there was a sufficient consolidation, and Kylian felt more at ease playing without a face mask. It's a little bit of everything. This offensive inefficiency stems from shots that are not on target, and it also depends on my players. And it can cause a blockage. You need to be as relaxed as possible when you perform this gesture, and you need to shoot on target. And this is what we were missing since the beginning of these Euros. Nevertheless, we made it to the semi-finals, and today we did find a way to score this goal thanks to Kolo. But of course, it would have been better to have an efficiency like we've had up until now, but you have more space, and you can have more situations where you may need to manage things. And given that we weren't facing the situations, fortunately, my team defended very solidly with had occasions for shoots, and sometimes it's also the goalkeepers because the shots were not on target.
English, please. From Norwegian NRK. How did you see the goal of Lamine Yamal, and do you think you should have defended better at that goal?
Sa frappe, elle est magnifique. Il a beaucoup de
His shot is magnificent. He succeeded a lot, and he deserves all his credit. With the situation, he's left-footed, and we're, of course, a bit too far, and they also have this quality, this Spanish player, to have very good players who can shoot outside of the surface. And he tried to harm him. We tried to harm him as much as possible, but we were too far. So he had more freedom, and his technical gesture was perfect. Olivier Giroud came in a few minutes before the end of the match. It wasn't enough. He probably played his last few minutes with Les Bleus. Best goal scorers. He's been with you since the beginning. What do you have to say to him, and what do you have to say to him now that he may retire internationally? I will say it right away. He's disappointed like all the other players. Olivier was here since the beginning, and he's the last one since that first match that we have had in Le Havre. Well, he had some difficult periods and some periods where he wasn't as efficient, and this prevented us from being world champions. And over time, we finished being best goal scorer at this stage, and he's an example of longevity, seriousness, professionalism. He had less playing time during this Euros compared with what the discussions we had initially, but he's part of the leaders of this group, even though he's not always on the pitch. It would have been better if we had finished on Sunday, but what I want to say to him is, well done, and thank you for everything you have done. A last question?
Juste pour prolonger ça, justement, il y a eu encore beaucoup de centres ce soir. Vous avez fait beaucoup tourner sur ce poste d'attaquant axial.
You had a lot of rotations for the strikers in the axe. Is there somebody missing, like somebody like along the likes of Olivier in your team?
travers ce qu'il a fait et le but qui
Well,
marque aussi. Après,
given what Colo
Olivier,
did
c'est
and
Olivier.
the goal that he scored, well, that's
Henri
great.
est
And
tant mieux pour
Olivier
lui,
is
c'est ce que je lui
Olivier.
dis aussi. Il a un
And so much the better for him. That's what I say to
au
him.
niveau du public, médiatique, vous êtes
There's
bien
the
occupé de
environment
lui à
with the
un moment.
public, with the media.
Il
You
n'était
looked
pas
after him
efficace,
very
on lui
well
reprochait de ne pas marquer
because
de
he
buts,
wasn't always
même si je
efficient.
l'ai
You were saying that he
toujours
would not
défendu. Après,
always score
Olivier, c'est
goals,
Olivier.
even though I kept defending him. But
Avec sa
Olivier is
capacité
Olivier. He has this
d'efficacité qui est bonne,
capacity to
qui a
be
moins
very
de qualité
efficient.
dans tout ce qui est course et déplacement par rapport aux autres joueurs.
He has less
Mais il y a des
quality in
jeunes
terms
joueurs
of
aussi.
runs, but there's young players as
Marcus
well,
vient de faire une très très belle saison. Après
such
de
as
confirmer
Marcus, who just
en équipe de
finished a
France,
very
c'est
beautiful
encore
season,
une
and
marche
he's in the
au-dessus. Donc
French team, so it's
Olivier
one
fait partie des
step
plus
ahead. And
anciens, mais il y avait
Olivier
aussi
is part
beaucoup
of the ones who have been here for the longest, but there's also a lot of youngsters like Bradley Barcola with what he has done. It's great, even though Warren didn't play, but the fact that he's here, it will serve him as an experience. There are other young, relatively young players for whom it is the first competition, and this will help them for the future.
Merci.
Bonne soirée.
Thank you, and have a nice evening.